Hi and welcome to this tutorial for these cozy Christmas stockings that I've just released, and here is what you need to make them. So to start off, you're going to make a chain. You're going to chain 52. When we have done the 52 chains, we're going to join in the first chain with a slip stitch, and I usually follow along the chain like this in order to make sure the chain is not twisted. Here I'm reaching for the first chain. It's a little bit fiddly, and I've also made the first chain a little bit small, which is not going to make it easier, but I'm going to use my finger to help me get into this first chain, or the top of the hook, since it didn't work out. I'm just gonna slip stitch to make this a ring. And from now on we're going to work in a linen stitch pattern. I'm going to chain one, and then I'm going to work into that first chain that I just slip stitched in. It can be again a little bit tricky to see where it actually is, and we also have the short end here, but I'm going to single crochet, chain one, and then skip one chain and single crochet in the chain after that. And this is the repetition that we're going to make: chain one, skip one chain, and single crochet in the next stitch. We're repeating it all around until we reach the end, and there we're going to end with chain one and slip stitch into the first stitch, which is a single crochet, and I'm going to show you this in just a moment. When you have joined here, you can immediately make a chain one and turn around your work. And here we're going to see that there's a chain space which we just made by making chain one, and into that chain space we are going to work. And that's also why we are working back and forth in the linen stitch, because it makes it easier to repeat the pattern. So we are single crocheting into the chain space, chaining one and skipping one. Chain one, skip over the single crochet in the chain space. And we're repeating this all over the round. And here we're going to make the last single crochet, and this is where we chain one, skip the last single crochet and join with a slip stitch. Before you join though, we're going to join by introducing your second color, and we're going to be doing this from the right side, from the side where we are going to work the next round. So here I show you that you should insert the hook from the right side to the wrong side and have your second color ready. Pull the other yarn to the front and pull through to the right side. You can also do this from the right side, but I'm showing you here how to join from the wrong side. Chain one, and you're going to single crochet in the same chain space we have been working before, but this time we're going to make a chainless DC, a chainless double crochet. You can also make 3 chains if you want, but it will look much better if you make this chainless DC. You make a chain single crochet and you insert the hook into the front leg, the left front leg of this single crochet, and make another single crochet on top of this one. There are also special videos for this chainless double crochet if you want more detail, but here I'm continuing to work in the pattern which is 2 DC into each chain space. So not 2 DC together, just simply 2 DC worked in the same space, and repeating this all over the round. At the end of this row we are making 2 DC in the last chain space, and then we will join with a slip stitch in the first DC, so not in the chain 2 but in the first DC. Also you will be joining with the green in this case, so with the color you are not using, because on the next round we are going to be working the linen stitch pattern again. You can tighten the threads a little bit, and then we're going to turn around. So we're going to chain 1 to attach the thread, and then we're going to start the linen stitch pattern. And we will start immediately where the hook is. There is a space between the 2 DC here, and you can work over the other color, it's okay. Single crochet, chain 1, and we're going to single crochet between in the spaces between the 2 DC all around. Chain 1, skip over the 2 DC and work into the space in between.
Follow Rudolph all across the town. Played it with me under the mistletoe, while Santa's busy saying ho ho ho. We're feeling jolly, eating Christmas cake, and then we go skating on the frozen lake, saying hi to every friendly face, and later we warm up by the fireplace.
Here we are reaching the end of the round. We end by chaining 1, skipping over the 2 DC and joining in the first single crochet we made. And again we're going to turn around. We are turning around for every round. We're going to chain 1, and you will see the chain space that you just made. That's where you're going to work into, just in front of the hook. So continue in pattern. Single crochet, chain 1 and skip 1. At the end of the round it's just the same thing as before, but I'm showing it again. It's chain 1 and join in the first stitch, which is a single crochet, turn around and start the pattern again. Here we are working the last linen stitch round before we are going to make the 2 DC round in the white in this case. Whatever color you are using. So at the end of this round, when slip stitching to close the round, we're going to change to that color. When you are changing color from the slip stitch, from the linen stitch rounds to the 2 DC rounds, it's important how you slip stitch to close the round and join the other color. And the important thing is that you are inserting the hook from the right side to the back side and then pulling through. the thread. Otherwise you will have some bulk at the front and it will look more ugly. When you have done 4 2DC rows and ended with 2 linen stitch rows, where you cut the thread, and then you're going to make a new chain in order to make the gap for the heel. So I'm going to chain 12, and then I will count the 12 stitches on my work from where the seam is, and I'm going to start working in the stitch after the 12 stitches. So this is a replacement. This thread is going to be where the new, where we are going to work the round from now on. And make sure to work from the wrong side on this round, so not from the right side, because you made the last round from the right side and we are alternating every round. So count left in the leftward direction from the wrong side, from where the seam is, and then start working after this 12th stitch. And then we're just going to work 28 stitches.
Wish that I could find the words to describe you now, as I'm lying next to you and the world goes quiet. Wish that I could make you see how you fit me perfectly, and I fall for you again. We've been through it all. You're the one who understands. In a world where hope grows thin.
And when we have finished the 28 stitches, we are going to work the second part of this chain that is going to create the hole for the heel. So we're making again 12 chains, and then we're going to join in the first of the chains that we created with a slip stitch.
We've been through it all. You're the one who understands.
This does become a little bit fiddly, also because we have to join in the other color that we're using for the 2DC groups, because that's the row we're going to work after this. So it's a little bit fiddly, just hang on, it's gonna get easier. Turn your work. Now work with the white or whatever color you are using. I have attached with a chain, and now we're going to work the 2DC groups over this chain. And I'm going to make a chainless DC. So I'm single crocheting into the first stitch and making the chainless DC. And I'm going to make another DC in the same stitch, and then I'm going to be skipping one chain and making 2 DC in every other chain all over this chain. Then we are going to resume the pattern, so when you have reached the end of the chain, we are continuing in the chain spaces as we've done before. And we work in the same way over the chain on the other side, which is what I'm showing here. I have reached the end of the regular pattern that we have already established, making the 2 DC in the chain space. And then I will start working every other chain along this chain that we have made. At the end of this round we are joining with a slip stitch as usual, and after that it's basically just to continue the pattern in the same way that you did for the upper part of the stocking. So I'm not going to show that in detail, it's just a replication of the same thing. And I'm going to be showing next how to work the heel and the toe and the ribbing at the top. Now we are going to pick up stitches all along the heel gap that we have created, and then we're going to shape the heel by making decreases on every round. So with the same color I used for the ribbing, I'm going to attach the thread at the back, the lower part, and then I'm going to make 1 HTC, half double crochet, in every stitch. So in this case I'm going to work 1 half double crochet in the bottom of each 2 DC, and then 1 half double crochet in between there in the chain. So I'm just showing you what I'm doing here. It can be a little bit tricky to get into the chains, but I'm using either the front part or the hook part of the tip to get into the stitches. And I usually try to avoid working around only 1 thread. It's good to work around at least 2 threads or so, otherwise you can get gaps in your fabric. I'm just continuing until I get to the corner, the last stitches here of the first edge. So when I come to the corner here, or the side, I'm going to work through the side with 1 HDC, and you see here shouldn't do like this, only through 1 thread. Instead it's better to attach the yarn through at least 2 threads. So I'm working that stitch, and then I'm going to continue on the upper part of the heel, and here I'm going to work through the middle of the single crochet that is part of the linen stitch, just to attach it again a little bit in a more stable way. Then I'm working 1 HDC in the chain in between those single crochet, and this is how I continue over this whole part of the heel. And again, when we come to the other side, we're going to work 1 HDC into the side, and then continue as you did before with 1 HDC at the bottom of the 2DC and 1 HDC in the chain. And you're continuing until you reach the point where you started, and you're going to join with a slip stitch. Now on this second round we're going to start decreases, and here you see a sort of side stitch, and on each side of this side stitch we're going to decrease by making 3 HDC together. And it's the same thing on the other side. We have a stitch here in the middle, and you're going to make 3 HDC together on each round on each side of this side stitch.
And me, carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard before, as they walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day. Oh, a Merry Christmas Day. Oh, we're chasing snowflakes as they're falling down, and follow Rudolph all across the town. Lady, we meet under the mistletoe while Santa's busy.
So count, I usually count the space behind the stitch, and therefore we have here 3 stitches the 3 stitches before the side stitch, and I insert the hook into each of them, and then I just pull through all the hooks, all the loops on the hook. And then in the middle I'm making just a regular HTC. And again, after this one HTC, I am yarning over, inserting the hook into 3 consecutive stitches, yarning over and pulling through all loops on the hook. So I have decreased 4 stitches here on this side, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And then we're going to continue like that, decreasing in this way on each round for a number of rounds, until you have only a few stitches left. And when that happens, you're going to make HTC 2 together all over the round. And after that you have finished the heel and you can cut your yarn. So here I just want to show you how it looks on the 3rd round, because it looks slightly different than on the 1st round, because we have already made decreases. So here I'm counting when to start the decrease, and now I have 3 stitches before this middle stitch, side stitch. So you have to count the decrease as only 1 stitch. So therefore I'm making 3 HTC together, working that 1 HTC, and then again 3 HTC together. And here I'm just showing the round 3 decrease on the other side of the heel, so it's basically the same thing. Here I'm going to show how to make the toe. So you introduce the other yarn when slip stitching to close the round as usual.
Wish that I could
Here I just seem to be extra clumsy, but can be a little bit fiddly sometimes.
The world goes quiet. Wish that I could make you see how you fit me perfectly, and I fall for you again. We've been through it all.
Again, I'm going to work 1 HTC half double crochet in each stitch, so that means 1 HTC into the single crochet, for example in the middle of the stitch, and 1 into or over the chain.
Where hope grows thin, you've completed me, and the story left within.
And I seem to not always do the exact same thing here, but the important thing is that there are no big gaps created, so if you can, whatever way you can work without creating big gaps is okay. Here I'm starting the second round, and we're going to make some decreases here on the following rounds in order to shape the toe. So on the first 2 rows or rounds I'm going to make decreases on the side, so not at the top and bottom surfaces, but instead at the edges. So I'm working until I reach the side. If you have the seam in the middle, you can sort of flatten out the stocking and check where is the side. And then I'm making 2 HTC together, followed by a regular HTC, and then again 2 HTC together. Then I continue working over the whole top part of the stocking until I reach the other side, where I repeat the exact same thing, making decreases 2 HTC together twice. I have reached the end of the round, and I'm joining with a slip stitch in the first half double crochet. I'm going to start a new round, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the previous round. I will stop just before the decreases on the previous round, and I will HTC 2 together in the stitch before the decrease and the decrease itself. And then I'm making, as before, an HTC and then HTC 2 together. And the same thing on the other side. I'm stopping just before, 1 stitch before the decrease, and then I'm working another HTC 2 together, 1 HTC and 1 HTC 2 together, and work to the end of the round and join. So join the third round in the same way as usual with a slip stitch, and then from the next round we're going to increase the rate of the decreases, because you see it hasn't decreased that much so far. chain 2, and on this round we're going to be decreasing every 4th stitch. So I made 3 HTC here in the beginning, and then I'm making a decrease by making 2 HTC together. And I continue in this pattern, 3 HTC and then 1 decrease by making 2 HTC together, and continue in this way all over the round. On this next round we're going to decrease even more often, so we're just making 1 HTC and then a decrease, and repeat this pattern all over the round. 1 HTC and 1 HTC2 together. On the next round we are going to decrease in every stitch on this round, which means we're going to make a HTC2 together in every 2 stitches. So just work in this way all over the round. HTC2 together in every 2 stitches. Repeat this round 1 more time, so we're doing the exact same thing 1 more time. So the toe is finished, and what remains is just to attach the loose ends. Next we're going to finish the ribbing at the top of the stocking and the hanger. And so again, go to the the middle of the stocking at the back where you have your loose end. I'm going to attach the yarn, try to attach it in the first stitch. Can be a little bit tricky to see where it is, and in general when I make an edge I try to insert the hook into more than one one loop or thread, otherwise you can get holes. So we chain 2 at the beginning, and then we're going to work 1 HTC in each stitch along this edge, and I'm going to work 1 HTC in the sort of linen stitch that I've made, and 1 HTC in the chain in between, but it's doesn't really matter as long as you work 1 HTC per stitch. And since we are making a stocking which is going to hang and might have gifts inside and sometimes heavy things, I want to attach this edge as well as possible, so I'm going to work a little bit further down into the stitch itself, or as I said, over at least 2 loops or threads in order for the stocking to be more durable. But you can do it in any way you want. I'm just showing here what I did. At the end of the round, join in the first HTC with a slip stitch, and now on this next round we're going to be working a front post back post stitch And if you haven't worked this stitch before, there are many tutorials how to do it. Here I'm assuming that you have some knowledge of front post and back post stitches. I'm going to chain one, and I'm going to go around the first HDC from the back. So this is the front post HDC, and I'm making an HDC around the stitch. Next one, I'm going to make a back post, and I'm going from the back over the HDC, pulling through the thread and finishing the HDC. So I'm alternating front post HDC and back post HDC every other stitch. Here's a front post HDC. For the back post, I'm going from the back, inserting the hook to the front over the stitch, going back again with the yarn over and finishing the stitch with the yarn over and pulling through. So work in this way until the end, and for another 2 rounds or as many as you want, and then I'm going to be showing how to make the edge. I make a finishing edge which makes the sock look a little bit more tidy. It's not an absolute must, but you can do it if you want. And then I'm going to be making the hanger next. So here I'm back to my green sock. Sorry for changing the color. I did forget to film some parts, so I had to do it on 2 different socks. But here I am continuing the stitch pattern until the end of the round, and I'm joining in the first HDC, which is a front post HDC. So the first stitch is, as I said, a front post HDC, so I'm just showing here how to work a 3rd round because it looks a little bit different when you have already established the front post and back post pattern. As a finishing edge, I'm going to work 1 row around both loops of yarn over slip stitch. So I'm working into both loops of every stitch, and I'm making a yarn over slip stitch. If you haven't worked this stitch before, I do have a tutorial for this stitch on my channel, which I will link below. And I will work in this way all along the edge and join with a slip stitch, and then I'm going to be working the hanger. In order to make the hanger, I will chain 20. And then you want to attach this chain somewhere close, like a couple of stitches away from where you started. You can attach it in some different ways. This time I attached it with a single crochet. I actually did 2 single crochet, but I think this became a little bit bulky, so I would advise you at least not to do 2 single crochet, either 1 or a slip stitch or a couple of slip stitches. After that, I'm going to work 1 row of slip stitches into the chains. So 1 slip stitch in every chain along the whole chain, just to make it a little bit more sturdy. I'm going to work until the end of the chain and attach back in the sock with a slip stitch. So here we have the finished ribbing. It gives a nice finishing touch to the stocking, and it's going to be quite sturdy. And after that your stocking is finished, apart from any loose ends that you may have to attach. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, please like the video or subscribe to my channel. It helps me a lot. And hope to see you again soon. Bye bye!